I just got done watching Divorce Sistas episode 5, and it ends off on yet another cliffhanger. I am so happy that we're done with the church banquet and the storylines are moving along just a bit. But before I get into my recap, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandy, and I realize that you could be on any channel in the world, but you're right here with me, and I really do appreciate that. So please go ahead and like this video, and also subscribe to my channel if you do like watching TV show reviews and also movie reviews. Where is Rashida? Where is Rashida? This whole episode, everyone is inquiring about Rashida's whereabouts, okay? And wait till you find out where my favorite character was, okay? We don't find out until the end of this episode, but let me try to go in order, okay? So episode 5 is titled Breath of Fresh Air, and it kicks off with Geneva, Tiffany, and Javon at the police station, still trying to get Naomi out of jail, okay? And in this particular scene, I'm really questioning the sisterhood between Geneva and Tiffany, okay? So it's 6 a.m. They're still at the police station trying to get Naomi out. So Javon leaves to go check on the status of Naomi, right? So Tiff, she goes up to Geneva, and she's just trying to talk to her, just trying to kick it with her about Javon, like asking questions like, again, why didn't you tell me about him? Tell me about his ex-wife. I really think he's great. He smells so good. He looks so good. Like, Tiffany is really feeling the boy Javon. She really is, right? And Geneva is just being a bitch. She really is. Like, it makes me wonder, is Geneva just mean on a regular? Like, is she just typically a mean girl, or is she just being mean in this situation to Tiffany because she still has feelings for Javon? But nonetheless, I really think Tiffany is soft, okay, guys? Because if that was my friend, right? I'm in Tiffany's shoes and I'm inquiring about someone, I expect you to be a lot warmer towards me, okay? And I would check you if you are my friend. And in fact, if tables were turned, if I was Geneva, I would expect Tiffany to check me as well. Like, girl, why are you acting like this? Like, I'm just asking you questions. Why are you acting all stank? Like, I really think Tiffany should stood up for herself and said something, because Geneva was really being a mean girl, right? And Geneva wouldn't give her any information about Javon. She's like, listen, I don't know what happened with his divorce. I just found out he got divorced. Why aren't you asking him these questions? Just go ahead and ask Javon. Like, Tiffany said, well, Javon seems like a really nice guy. And Geneva was like, seems. Like, that's really the only tidbit of information that she was trying to give up, right? But I just don't like Geneva's vibes, right? I really don't like how she was treating Tiffany in this episode. But then Naomi, she finally gets released from jail. So she's walking out, and Naomi's first concern is that her dress is ripped. Like, they left my dress in there. I'm like, girl, that's all you worried about? Like, you facing some serious charges. Like, you burnt your ex-husband's new wife with a pot of boiling hot coffee. You got bigger concerns than your dress right now, Naomi, right? But in this episode, Naomi is still acting very bitter, very toxic, she just wants retaliation against Franklin, okay? So much so that she calls up the boy Doc, the guy Doc from All the Queen's Men. That is my favorite character on All the Queen's Men. Well, my favorite dancer, that is. But anyway, she calls up Doc, who she had a rendezvous with, a few episodes back, maybe on episode 1, she was with Doc, right? She calls him up, and she wants Doc to off her ex, Franklin. Like, Naomi is really taking it there, y'all. She says to Doc, I want him off the planet. I'm like, damn, I never heard nobody say it like that, right? Naomi's a little gangster, right? But anyway, Doc agrees, and Doc says that he could get it done for the right price, okay? So they proceed to just go up to the bedroom because, again, she pays Doc for his services, right? So we don't know what's going to happen with Naomi. Hopefully she does not go forward with that plot to kill Franklin, because he definitely doesn't deserve to die, okay? She deserves to move on with her life, with her $37 million, and just be happy again, all right? Now let's move on to Bridget. Bridget finally has a really interesting scene in episode 5, okay? So Bridget, we see her, she's on the phone making phone calls. She's actually looking for Rashida, and she's checking up to find out what's going on with Naomi. So she's making a lot of noise on the phone, right? So her boyfriend, Javon, is laying in the bed, and he says something to the effect of, like, can you quiet down? I'm trying to sleep. Meanwhile, this girl is like, she's dressed, fully dressed in a business suit, getting ready to go to work. And she's like, you need to get a job. And then they get into their normal argument of he needs to get a job. He's not handling his responsibilities. He proceeds to say that, F them jobs. Like, I'm a content creator. I'm trying to launch my site, and those jobs are bad for my mental health. So Bridget goes on to say, mental health wasn't an issue for my generation. Your generation is just soft. Your generation is weak. But I don't like how they're making that Bridget's identity, that like she's like the mom to him and she's so much older, okay? But it probably is women like Bridget in real life that really take on like that mommy syndrome as their identity. But anyway, so they're arguing back and forth, and the doorbell rings, right? And he says to her, "You gonna get that?" Like, what kind of man lets the lady open the door? The doorbell rings. Your man's supposed to open the door, right? But first of all, we don't even open the door in our household. That's for one. Like, if we're not expecting company, we ain't answering the door. But anyway, if you're the type of people that answer the door, the man should go to the door, right? So he sends her to answer the door, and it's Calvin at the door. Calvin is a friend of the church, I believe, a friend of Bridget, and he previously gave Javon a job, but Javon quit that job prematurely, right? So Calvin arrives, and Calvin is upset because he thinks that Javon has the key, like a key to like a safe at the job that Javon was working at, right? So Calvin is like, I need my key. Like, he's upset. So Bridget goes upstairs to inquire about the key. Javon said he doesn't have the key. Bridget goes back downstairs to tell Calvin, like, hey, he doesn't have the key. Calvin's like, let me talk to him. Let me go ask him. Pause. Bridget, why did you let Calvin go upstairs to talk to Javon? That's wrong. As a woman, you just don't want to let people in your bedroom, right? Your bedroom is your sanctuary. Let me tell you, I don't even like filming videos in my bedroom. I would if I had to, but that's just not something that I really want to do, okay? She was wrong for that. But anyway, Calvin and Javon, obviously, it's going to pop off, right? You're in Javon's territory. So Calvin and Javon get into a fight, right? And it was a good fight, for lack of a better term. Me and my husband was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, Calvin proceeded to push him first, and then Javon started to dig into him. Like, Javon was really getting the best of Calvin, okay? In fact, so much so that Bridget was trying to break it up, and Bridget got pushed to the floor by mistake. So Bridget tells Tiffany about the altercation, and Tiffany says something like, I'm happy Javon's okay because Calvin is a professional boxer. Like, if Calvin didn't hurt Javon, it's because he didn't want to, right? And that really struck a chord with Bridget. Bridget's face was like, oh my God, like what does that mean, okay? But I forgot to mention one thing, right? Before Calvin went up those stairs, he told Bridget, like, you need a real man. And he stepped forward to her as if he was the man that he was referring to. Like, I got you. I could be the real man you need. You don't need to be with this little boy, right? But she checked him right away, like, listen, don't tell me what I need, right? So I'm curious to see if Bridget and Calvin will have a relationship going forward now, because I would love for Calvin to be her romantic interest instead of Javon. Now let's talk a bit more about Geneva. We see that Geneva is still in this episode kind of giving William the cold shoulder. William is coming across as a loving husband, okay? Geneva was out all night at the police station dealing with Naomi's situation, right? So she comes home and William has a nice breakfast lined up for her, right? She doesn't want to eat. She doesn't seem appreciative of what William does for her, right? So later on, Geneva, she gets a phone call from Javon. He wants her to tell him that she doesn't want him to date Tiffany, right? It sounds convoluted, right? But he just wants to hear her say it, right? So she's like, I'm not going to tell you not to date her. And he was like, well, what should I do? Should I just wait around for you? And she's like, I'm not saying that either. So she's just trying to stay in the middle. She's not trying to say anything at all, anything concrete to Javon, right? Then Geneva rides up to Anika's school and she sees her husband, William, giving a woman flowers. He's giving her flowers and then he gives her a hug. It looks like it could be friendly, but mind you that in episode 1, we find out that Geneva's daughter overheard William calling some lady at her school fine. So I bet in Geneva's head, she's like, oh, is this the pretty lady that my daughter was talking about? Like, is this her? So we have to see what happens with that storyline now. Like, are we back to the pretty lady at the school conversation? Because I would love to see how that pans out. But now on to Rashida, okay? Again, whole episode, everybody's inquiring about Rashida, even her children, right? Her son and her daughter are asking Pastor Jeff, like, where's mom? And Pastor Jeff is like, listen, she's not here. wherever she is, I'm sure she's fine. And the daughter is like, well, she didn't sleep in the guest room. Can you tell me what's going on, right? But I do admire that Pastor Jeff didn't put their business on blast. But then the kids leave out the house to go catch the bus to school, and they see Rashida. And guess where Rashida was? Rashida was sleeping in the car. Rashida stayed the whole night in the car because remember, the night before, Pastor Jeff did not open her door. He has always been the man that opens her door to let her out once they're going in the house or if they're going anywhere. So he did not open the door for her, and she stayed in the car all night long. Now, my opinion, I think that's just a cry for attention. She wants Pastor Jeff to open up to her to listen. Like she wants his attention. But it was so sad that he wasn't really that concerned about her whereabouts. He was moving on about his day like nothing. He was about to go to work, right? It was the kids that found her there, right? And then he eventually came out and saw her there, and he still didn't care once he found her there because he said, isn't this a little childish, you think? Here, let me open the door for you so you could get out. Like he was still rude and belligerent to her, right? But once he opened the door to let Rashida out, they get into an argument, and she explains to him that him open the door is not just about opening the door. The door is just symbolic of their marriage, and that he doesn't open up to her at all. And she needs more out of the marriage. So they're arguing back and forth, and his phone is ringing and he's not answering the phone. Rashida proceeds to grab the phone from his hand, answer the phone, and it is Myron. It's Myron on the phone, y'all. Myron is Pastor Jeff's driver/assistant. And Myron says, Bae, are you in the car? Can you talk? He says, bae, y'all. So does that mean that it's confirmed that Myron and Pastor Jeff are having an affair? We were already suspicious of that, but I don't know because it left off on a cliffhanger, right? Rashida didn't get a chance to say anything. Her face was just stunned. So again, this left off on another cliffhanger, right? So I can't wait to see what happens when that conversation picks up, right? Or is it going to be one of those endings where we thought Myron said bae to Pastor Jeff, but maybe he was talking to his own wife in the background, right? So we'll have to see what happens with that. But I do have a feeling that Myron and Pastor Jeff has something going on, okay? But nonetheless, this was a very good episode. Hopefully I'm not leaving too much out, right? But one thing, again, I wish about this series is I wish I could just binge it. Like, I just want to get to the next episode already. I think I would enjoy it even more if I could just watch the episodes back to back to back. But anyway, guys, comment down below. Let me know what you think of Geneva. Let me know what you think about the sisterhood in general, okay? And who is your favorite character at this point, okay? And turn on your notifications and stay tuned to the next video. See you all next time. Peace.